two unplayable slates back to back. Sorry, missed you for Thursday Night Football with the Kansas City game, but probably did y'all a favor not wasting another hour of your time and then having to go back and watch that game. So luckily, we got another condensed show for Giants Bills. Hopefully, we can win some money on this one.
Yeah, the Bills are favored by 15, dude. Tyrod Taylor starting quarterback. This is going to be a shit show, man. Let's just get into it. What is up, guys? Welcome to the Edge DFS. My name is Tyson Smith, joined by Ellie Hernandez. Ellie, that game on Thursday night, I didn't go very heavy on it just because there's just so many different things that could have happened in that game. And the one thing I was pretty sure of, at least, hey, this is going to be a very windy game. Probably not going to play as much kickers. Maybe that's probably not super smart with 20 mile per hour winds. Guess who's the optimal captain? A kicker. So that just goes to show, like, look, if you don't have the balls to lose everything because of a weird injury or somebody randomly doesn't play, this is probably not the slate for you. You know what I mean? Ellie, what are your thoughts on these like throw up slates where you're just like, dude, I don't want to play this? Like, what are you doing in this particular situation?
So I think this one we got a little bit more of a competitive matchup, not necessarily with, I guess, the game itself. Like, I think the Giants are going to get destroyed, but I think Buffalo is going to be a little bit more kind of like tight to their script. I've seen some conspiracy stuff on Twitter. I guess it was Nick Wright. He was talking about how the Chiefs might just be treating these games as practice games, which would kind of make a lot of sense because the way they played on Thursday, it didn't seem like a normal Chiefs offense, right? They were just out there running some shit. So I'm excited for this one. I think the Bills are going to be a little bit more predictable. At least we have a true alpha wide receiver to think of on the offense. We don't have to pick between the shit show of practice squad guys they have.
So we know how bad the Giants are, dude. Let's briefly talk about these teams individually, and then we'll get into the actual Vegas lines and some of the injuries and stuff. Like you said, this is a condensed version, so we'll be back for Monday night full version and then Thursday night. So the Giants, we know they're a terrible team. They should be 0-5 if it wasn't for a miracle comeback in that Cardinals game. But they are the worst, one of the worst. I think they're the worst offense, actually, and then one of the worst defenses, if not the worst. So, dude, this team is screwed. And if Saquon Barkley does not play, it's an absolute shit show of a team. And the fact that now we don't have Daniel Jones, we've got Tyrod Taylor starting for this team, who hasn't started since 2021 when I think he was benched in the game he started for Houston. So what are we doing with the Giants, man? Who do you trust on this team at this point? There's only a couple guys that I'm willing to play.
Yeah, I mean, look, just full transparency. I don't like any of the guys on the Giants side. If especially Saquon's out, if he plays, I don't think anybody's gonna call me a genius for saying play Saquon Barkley, but I think he's a fine spot. The Buffalo Bills, I think that might be the one place that you can attack them a little bit is on the ground. But they're still just so much better. The problem is the Giants line is so bad. It's so bad,
yes,
that even like any advantage that they may have, it's just easy to get washed up in because if you can't create a hole, you can't create a pocket. It doesn't matter how good your skill players are. You're fucked.
Yeah. I mean, their line is historically bad. I mean, we were talking about Washington Commanders' offensive line when it comes to giving up sacks last week. They've overtaken them, and they've given up 30 sacks this year, which is last in the league. So it's not looking too good for them. If Saquon plays, man, I think I trust him. I think he's a captain option. I think he can at least get you there, but he is expensive. So we'll get into that in a minute. So the Bills are 3-2. They're kind of an inconsistent team. I mean, we know they're really good. They lost in London to the Jaguars in a bad game. Chalk that up to travel in London. All right. We'll give them a free pass on that one. But we remember they lost that opener to the Jets. It seems like they kind of play down to some of their competition sometimes. But they did beat Miami last 2 weeks ago and did pretty good, but they just don't have a very tough schedule so far. So do we really know who this team is? Is this another situation where maybe they can play down to their competition?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is. The NFL is crazy when it comes to stuff like that. I think the one thing to consider when we're looking back about on some of those other games, like even Jacksonville, Jacksonville it has they're good at stuff, right? We know what they're good at. Their offense can excel in certain areas. ETN's an excellent back. Even the Jets, we know their defense is excellent. The only thing I know for certain is that the Giants suck and their offensive line is dog shit. So I think that we got to take that previous performance into account here, and just I'm not necessarily saying build for 100% blowouts and just garbage game scripts, but that's probably what we're leaning towards here.
Yeah, we're gonna have to stack up on some very expensive guys on the Bills side. Diggs, obviously Josh Allen is. Those guys are all incredible captain options, but we have some interesting value. Kind of on both sides, but mainly on the Bills to talk about from the wide receiver side. All their number 3, 4, and 5 wide receiver, those guys are kind of mixing in and out with maybe 30% of the snaps or whatever it is. Those guys are all under $1,000 on the slates, so that's some value there. And then you obviously have the tight ends who are questionable at this point. So let's get into the Vegas lines. I don't know the last time I saw a minus 1,200 in the NFL. This is like some esports stuff. This is crazy. 15-point favorites at home. The total's 44. 96% of the money coming in on Buffalo. I don't blame them. Minus 1,200. Dude, have you seen that in a while? Because I haven't.
I don't even think the Thursday night game was this one. I think it was like plus 750, which was crazy itself, but or minus 750. Jesus. Yeah, no, man, this is crazy. But I don't know what to say. I agree with it. James Cook could have 150 rushing yards by the end of the first half.
So you see the passing prop here. Josh Allen over under is 264 and Tyrod Taylor 184. I'm actually kind of surprised that his is that high. I think just because this team passes the ball a lot and they're going to be down, maybe that's why it's that high. But so let's look at some basic numbers here real quick. Like I said, the Giants' terrible offensive line, giving up tons of sacks. They're going up against one of the best defensive pass rushes in the league. I mean, this defense is good. They are weak against the opposing running backs, so they give up 5.7 yards per carry. So like I said, Saquon is a good option here in this matchup if he plays. Gabe Davis, 4 straight games with a touchdown. And look at this Buffalo offense is 31.8 points per game. They're only giving up 16 a game. When it comes to their snaps last week, Gabe Davis, 90%, Stephon Diggs, 87%. Looks like Knox was getting more of the snaps, but that could have been because of the Kincaid concussion. I don't know exactly when he left that game. But the thing to look at here is James Cook is getting 62% of the snaps. And then you have Shakir, Hardy, and Sherfield. Shakir's at 32%, Hardy's at 25%, and Sherfield's 18% of the snaps. What jumps out to you about some of these pass catchers here? Who you going with out of this Shakir, Hardy, Sherfield? Because they're all super cheap, and I think that could be the way we find value here.
So Hardy's going to be the most interesting to me. I mean, I think he's had 3+ fantasy points in every game, which isn't crazy, but for a guy who's $600, if he ends up with 4.5, 5 fantasy points, especially on a slate like this where I want to get Josh Allen, the Stephon Diggs, and then James Cook, if at all possible, or you want to pay for the defense. Like there's just a lot of guys that you want to pay for here. Having one of those $200 guys or $600 guys is important, but. Another one that's interesting, right, is really going to come down to the tight ends, who's healthy and who's active. Dawson Knox, we know that he's tight end 1, and Dalton Kincaid, like even with his I think 53% of the snaps, I think he'd probably be closer to 65, 70 if he wasn't hurt. But I'm not sure that necessarily eats into Knox's snap rate either.
Yeah,
because what you see, I mean, they essentially line him up as wide receiver 3.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that really matters, and obviously hop in the Discord. We'll be keeping up to date on that information. Should there be an injury or Kincaid sits because of the concussion, we'll obviously be plugged into whoever that tight end 2 is in that situation.
Yeah, so I wonder, I'm kind of curious if Kincaid is out, does that boost up maybe some of these wide receiver snaps? You know what I mean? Like instead of them plugging in like a practice squad tight end to come in to play that role, maybe the wide receivers to jump into that role. I don't know. Just something to think about. All right. So the other side here, we got Waller, 92%. Wandale Robinson and Slayton are pretty much the guys, it seems. And it looks like Eric Gray actually got involved a little bit more last week with Saquon out. We've seen Breida fill in for a few games, but Eric Gray is closing the gap, and he actually got more carries than Breida last week. So, if Saquon's out, maybe a little bit of Eric Gray in this game could be the way to go. Obviously, Gary Brightwell did miss that game, so maybe that's the situation. But Gary Brightwell is questionable again for this. So let's get into these injuries. The biggest one, obviously, is Saquon. Darren Waller's questionable. It seems like he's going to be questionable every week, so you probably have to assume that Darren Waller will play. He got involved a lot more last week, so I'm interested in him if he plays. But the biggest thing here is this offensive line, dude. Like, they for sure have ruled out their left tackle, Andrew Thomas, that he's a starting dude. A couple of other offensive linemen that were backups, and then you have their starting center is questionable, and then a couple of other offensive linemen are questionable. So not only is this offensive line terrible, but now they're dealing with a ton of injuries. And if somebody goes down in this game, they're going to have practice squad guys out there blocking. So this is pretty concerning, dude. I'm not super high on Tyrod Taylor doing well in this game. When it comes to the other side, we obviously saw Matt Milano go out of that game last week in London. Tre'Davious White the week before, he's out for the year, but they did get Von Miller back, and they're getting guys like Greg Rousseau potentially back, Christian Benford potentially coming back in this game. So it looks like they're starting to get a little bit healthier. They were exposed a little bit in the air last week against Jacksonville, but I think if they start to get a little bit healthier here, even though they're missing Milano and Tre'Davious White, I think they can still do a great job here. So what jumps out to you on some of these injuries?
I mean, look, I think the biggest thing is just the offensive line injuries for the Giants. I think the real question that brings up is, does that actually make their line better? Obviously, that's tongue in cheek, but look, man, it's just going to be a shit show for them. I know that we're missing some people on the Bills defense, but I think it outweighs more on the offensive line here. And then obviously Saquon. Is Saquon in or is he out? That's the biggest piece of news we got to pay attention to.
All right, there's one last thing I wanted to touch on, some narrative stuff. Obviously, Daboll's coming back, playing against his old team. I don't think there's any sort of a boost enough for me to really care. Like, I don't think there's any secrets out there that he's going to be able to expose necessarily against his former team, especially when you don't really have like an NFL team at this point. This is borderlining on like XFL type stuff. All right, let's go over to our lineup build, dude. Let's just do this. All right, so let's try to build. First, let's talk about some of the pricing here at the top, and let's talk about a little bit of value. We're not going to go position by position like we normally do here. Josh Allen, 12.8K, expensive as hell. Stephon Diggs, 12.2K. I'm going to want like almost every lineup with these two guys. Like, the biggest question is whether or not do I put him in captain. So we're going to have to really find some value, and I think it's there. Barkley's expensive at 11K. So look, if Barkley plays, like, there's going to be some expensive dudes that we have to fit in here. Tyrod Taylor's 9,400, which is kind of interesting. I was hoping he'd be a little bit cheaper, but 9,400 is fine. I don't know that I'm super interested in him. The guy that we really need to talk about here is James Cook with a great matchup. He's 9,200. He's expensive too. So the core of guys that I really want: Josh Allen, Diggs, and Cook. I feel like I want a lot of them. Rotate them out at captain. And then we got to determine who the other value guy is for the team, and then find maybe one or two Giants guys. The biggest thing too here, dude, is Bills defense is 6,600. We kind of know in the past for showdown slates with these expensive, high-owned defenses, sometimes that can bite you in the ass, but maybe more so if you play him at captain. I don't know. What are your thoughts on this before we move on? What are your thoughts on defenses at 6,600? It's just too damn good of a matchup, dude.
Yeah, normally I wouldn't play him, but like, I don't know, man. I'm gonna try and close my eyes and just pretend it's not a defense special teams, right? If we just look at it, 30 sacks, the Giants have allowed they're 1-4, so that means they're averaging 6 per game. So we're pretty much guaranteed 6 points against this team, and then this is the best pass rushing defensive line in the league, right? So you could easily end up with 8-9 points just from his sacks. literally just from sacks.
Yeah.
They get a shutout, you're looking at what, another 10, 7 if it's 7 to 10 points or some shit, right? So like I think that they're definitely in play. I think Gabe Davis though, at that dude 7,800, man, like he probably is going to be a one of my favorite GPP plays, I think, for captain.
Yeah, so let's look at some of this value. So Wan'Dale Robinson is back from his injury, it seems. Excuse me, he's getting involved quite a bit. I'm very interested in playing him. I think he's a safer kind of guy. He's in the slot. He's going to get a handful of more targets. I think he's a very safe cash type guy at 4,600. I really do think so. We got Kincaid at 4,200, Knox at 3,800. But let's talk about Shakir, Hardy, and Sherfield. So Shakir's 800, Hardy's 600, Sherfield's 200. I feel like these three guys are going to be rotated out along with maybe the tight ends in the last spot or whatever, as my value options here. Especially if this game gets out of hand, you could see a lot more snaps for some of these guys. I'm not planning on a blowout, but like that is an upside for some of these guys. And look, Hardy getting punt returns, pairing him with the defense. I know that's a lottery ticket, but it's kind of a fun little stack there. Who's your favorite one of these value guys? Then we'll start building. I promise.
It's Deontay Hardy. But like this whole range is kind of interesting. I don't know if I'm necessarily playing Paris Campbell, but from Damian Harris down, like I really do think all these guys are pretty much in play, except for like the random $200 dudes that we don't know who the fuck they are. Like I'm talking about Sherfield, Hardy, Shakir, Hyatt, Gray to some extent, Damian Harris. Like all these guys are kind of interesting, and I think you can have some rotation to these guys.
All right, so let's build like our chalky sort of cashy type build here.
You want to try with Allen at captain?
Yeah, we have.
I don't even know if we're going to be able to.
Yeah, I've been messing with it. It's kind of tough. I want Allen. I want Diggs. I want James Cook. That's how I want to start this off. So now we're kind of screwed. So like I feel like we probably want to go down, and I know this is a cash type build, but dude, we have to take a risk here. And I think that Deontay Hardy at his price has some decent upside. Like if he scores 3 points, like that could be enough right there. Now, the other question here too is, should we be getting the Bills defense here? But we kind of can't. Like, are you wanting to play them in cash? Because I think they're going to be, or single entry. I think they're going to be pretty high owned, and they have a high floor.
I don't know if we're going to be able to. Who would we play from the Giants? Because what does that give you? 2,200? Like I don't.
Yeah. I mean, you'd have to go with. There's really nobody. You got Eric Ray, the running back, who probably won't see much of the field if they're down by 30. So it's true.
I think what you have to do, can you pull the Bills? I think like Wan'Dale and then Graham Gano. Like I think that's the most realistic with this salary left.
Yeah, Wan'Dale to me for sure. Where the hell is he? There he is, 4,600. Yeah. You can't get Gano. Can't get Gano. So you're kind of stuck in this weird range.
Looks like we might do Sherfield, right? Like, yeah. I mean, throw in Gano, and then you got Sherfield, and you're fine.
Or how about this? I mean, okay, let's try that. But or we could go to Diggs over Allen at the captain spot, 4,600. That could save you enough. So you got Gano. Yeah,
let's do that.
So this is pretty decent. Like that Sherfield spot, you could kind of rotate that out. You're completely punting in order to just get all these studs. Let's actually switch. Let's switch this. Diggs at captain, Allen in the flex, 9,700. Let me just look at the Bills and see where that puts us. 3,100. So you're back to Shakir, and then you can't do anything there. So, I mean, I don't see how you play them.
Unless you fade James Cook, which I think is fine if you're doing Allen Diggs.
Well, let's talk about James Cook. I don't know
if I want to.
Let's talk about James Cook real quick. So I know that he's in a good spot. He's had 2 bad weeks. What did he have? Like -5 yards on the ground last week. He had a couple good weeks too. We know he gets involved, but to me, what worries me is he can get vultured. He can get vultured on the goal line from many different people. Both of these backup running backs. Latavius Murray and Damian Harris, both good goal line backs. And then you got Josh Allen who can sneak it. So to me, James Cook, there's a risk. There's a little bit of a risk that maybe he's just has an average day. So let's try that. All right, let's pull him out. Let's put in the Bills defense. That leaves us a little bit of room here. I don't know that I like Tyrod Taylor at that price. I don't think that's. I'd rather just play James Cook or even Gabe Davis or even Waller. So where are we going? Do you want to go Wandale again here?
Yeah, I mean, I still think it's Wandale.
Hardy?
Do we like anybody from 7,100? Can we get to
Can't get to
Gabe Davis?
Can't get to Waller.
It's not a.
We're not playing Hodgins. We're in kind of no man's zone here. We can go to Breida, but I'm not interested in that. So maybe we go kicker. Want to go Gano?
Yeah.
Leaves us with 3,300. So I guess that's fine. Shakir. I like the other cash one that we built before, but this is okay.
I don't mind. Latavius, or I'm sorry,
Damian Harris.
Damian Harris in this. Yeah.
This turns into a GPP.
James Cook.
Yeah, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah, it for sure turns into a GPP. Like the thing that happens in a game script like this, if they're up by 15 points, I had seen them just limiting James Cook in the second half and just seeing what run they can get out of Murray and Harris. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So,
anyways, it's just tough. What about Cook at captain for cash?
Yeah. Okay. Let's try it. Let's try it. All right. So let's plug in our dudes. Bills defense. Let's try that again. See if we can do it. Wandale. And guess who? Nope, we can't even get that. We got nothing left. So kicker, Gano, and then you go down to Sherfield. Let's try to not punt as hard, but we're gonna have to get rid of the Bills' defense here. And where do we go? We go to Kincaid or Knox? I don't know that I'm liking that for cash. Do we go double kicker here?
No, we can't afford it.
Yeah, so it's still hard.
Yes, we can.
We can.
Damian Harris. Yeah, I'm not comfortable with that.
Well, I'd rather play Shakir over Harris for cash, and it is risky, obviously. But dudes, if the dudes get you 4 fantasy points, I think that could probably be enough. It's $800. All right, so we're seeing some of these more expensive captains. We're seeing how that it's very difficult. If you want to make the decision between Diggs and Allen. Probably Diggs is the guy that misses the cut there for me, but I'm not very comfortable not playing Diggs ever. So do you want to try another? Let's turn our heads over to GPP mode, and let's start there, man. Do you want to play a Saquon captain or something if he's in?
Yeah, let's try Saquon. Let's see if we can do a 1-5. If there's any comfortable lineups we got, throw them both in, and then throw in. Throw in the defense and see how much that gives us.
Nothing.
Oh, Jesus.
You got to punt twice. Yeah, see, I mean, it's... Yeah. So, you're going to have to go down to, Knox or something here as, your third guy. And then we're looking at kickers, and then we're down to Hardy again.
Uh-huh.
Gano, I guess... Or you can't even get but you can't. Then you got to go all the way down to Sherfield, which I don't hate, but I'd rather play Hardy. So can't do that. So I feel like there is if you're comfortable playing these $200 guys, $800 guys, there's no limit to the captains that you can use. But for me, this slate might call for a mid-range guy with high upside. You want to try? You want to try one of these cheaper dudes like Gabe Davis at captain?
Absolutely.
All right. I like that. Gabe Davis, like I said, he's 4 straight games with a touchdown. He's starting to look good. He's been disappointing, but I think he's getting up there. So Allen, Diggs. Now, can we fade Diggs in this lineup? Do you want to do that? See how it goes?
Yeah, throw in Cook in defense. Let's see if we can build like this.
James Cook, defense. We can build like this. Oh,
shit.
So who's our one or two guys? Do you want to get?
I mean, you could, if you want, we can start with Wandale and Gano. That would be that's a reasonable.
Yeah, that's actually pretty nice.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's pretty nice. Gabe Davis, Josh Allen, James Cook, Bills, Wandale Robinson, Graham Gano, 4-2. You can go a lot of different ways. So that's kind of interesting to me, like putting Gabe Davis in the captain spot, hoping that Diggs just maybe has a average game, 5 receptions, 50 yards, no touchdown sort of a night. And maybe you don't need him. Maybe it's 24 to 3 at halftime and he just doesn't need to get involved. You know what I mean? All right, let's try somebody else. Let's try somebody else here. Let's try somebody that we could comfortably stack some of the studs that we want to stack in the flex and not have to punt so heavy.
You want to try one with Waller at captain?
Let's try it. Yeah. Let's try it. Allen, Diggs. Now, obviously, if Saquon's in, we're not going to be able to fit him in this lineup. You want to do James Cook here?
Yeah.
So punting hard. We'll definitely have to punt hard. Let's pull James Cook out. Let's go down. You want to try the defense?
That's fine.
We might want to go down to like Kincaid or Knox instead of the defense. I think that's where we probably got to go. Let's try that. You want to try that? You want to try Kincaid or Knox? Doesn't really matter.
Knox.
Doesn't really matter, I guess, but we'll try the cheaper one. All right, so now we have a little bit of room to work with here. We can get Wan'Dale and the kicker. We can get Slayton and the kicker probably. So just for this sake, let's put Wan'Dale in, and we can get Gano or Tyler Bass. We can do a 1-5, or this is a 2-4. No, this is a 3-3. So let's actually do Tyler Bass here.
Yeah.
What do you think about this lineup? Waller, Allen, Diggs, Knox with Wan'Dale Robinson, and then you got Tyler Bass. Not bad, right?
Yeah, I don't hate it, man. Wan'Dale, I mean, you're not too negatively correlated having 2 pass catchers from the Giants just because Wan'Dale's priced so nice. He gets 4 or 5 receptions. Doesn't need a touchdown.
And he's a guy that's going to eat up those targets, I feel like, and have quite a few. Also, a guy like Darren Waller is like that. So what did you learn after building, and like what kind of roster constructions are you thinking that you're going to head towards? Because there's so many different things that can happen in this game. I feel like we got to like lock in a core of guys that we're just going to commit to, and then mix up the last few spots and mix up our captain spot, but commit to a handful of guys based off of the game script we want to run. What jumped out to you, dude?
I think the biggest thing is just the pricing on Stephon Diggs, like $12,200. I mean, he has to hit a certain number to pay all that off.
Yeah.
And, it just sucks because I'm so scared to fade a guy like Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
But look, I mean, you're gonna have to make some tough decisions on Sunday night. If you play him, you're gonna be tight pressed to play pretty much anybody else.
Yeah. It's true. You're gonna have to make tough decisions with James Cook and playing mid-range guys at captain potentially, and then still getting to Hardy or one of these other guys. Yeah, dude, this is a tough one for sure. I think I'm gonna go probably not nearly as heavy as I normally would on a good slate. Probably 60 lineups, 3 of the 20 maxes, and then maybe do a little bit more of an expensive single entry, like a smaller one, and then it is what it is, and move on to Monday night. I think that's kind of how I'm going to treat this one because this shit's going to get weird. All right, Ellie, we will be doing the Monday night show for members tomorrow. Explain that to anybody who isn't aware of how we're doing the Monday night shows.
Yeah, Monday night shows for members only. So you can join via YouTube. We'll add you to our YouTube members Discord, and then you get exclusive content for any Monday night show. If there's multiple Monday night games, then we'll do all exclusive Monday night showdown shows for those slates. So it's pretty cool. Yeah.
So hit that join button down below. Join the Discord. That's free. And throw us a like on this video. We want to get to 50 likes for this one. We will see you guys some of you guys for Monday Night Football, and the rest of y'all for Thursday night.